Hi, ma'am.
Mike. Yeah, and then Robert could move it to Robert. Wait, I knew as soon as I said that it was. Hey guys, we're live now.
Okay, good morning, everybody. We'll call the meeting of the public safety to order. Do roll call, Wendy, please.
Mike Cookie,
Here.
Dean Hudson,
Present.
Carolyn Schiffer. Yes. Mike Seaman
Here.
and Jack Scottsted.
Here.
Buddy.
Katie is absent.
Oh, Katie is absent. Thank
Right.
you.
I'll start the meeting out by welcoming Mike back after going through some of the turmoil that he has. Good to see you and have you back.
That's what I am. Pull the ticks off when you see them.
Burn them off. Okay, visitors. Courtney? Anything at all?
Morning, everybody. Courtney Kennedy and Chris Hinkle here for the South Dixon Solar Farm Project. Just here to answer any questions. That's all.
Okay. Chris? Okay. I'll speak.
Morning, everybody. I laid some, the finding of fact and recommendations from our zoning board on petition 21P 1566. If you have any questions on it, just let me know.
Any questions for Dee?
Dean,
Alice?
what was the vote? I've heard 4-0. I've heard there was one opposition. I've heard there's an abstention. So, you know, this just says it was approved, but
The vote was 4-0. The newspaper misreported and stated Rex Meyer voted against the project, and that was not correct. It was
okay, that
unanimous.
was where my source of information. I didn't remember where I heard it, but that's probably.
Stacy, anything at all?
I'd like to thank a few members of the county board for being able to attend our Veterans Treatment Court graduation yesterday. This past couple of weeks, we've been rather busy. We had a drug court graduation. Yesterday, we had a Veterans Treatment Court graduation. Keen Hudson was present, as was Nancy Naylor. It's always appreciated to see members of the community and members of the board there at our graduation. These are exemplary programs that our court has for the members of our community. So I just wanted to thank everybody for that. I also have some brochures in regards to our Veterans Treatment Court that I'll just pass out to each of you here today too, before the meeting ends. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Shannon Langloss. I'm here on behalf of Amy Johnson for the circuit clerk's office. We're just moving along with our changes to the manual and record keeping that the Supreme Court put into effect. It takes effect January 1st, 2022. And then also we're moving along with criminal e-filing. That's about all we have to report.
Okay, thanks, Shannon. Kevin, anything? Okay. Sheriff, anything prior to the agenda?
Well, speaking of Sauk Valley Media, I think Dee mentioned, or one of the girls mentioned some of the misquotes from the vote. I am still here till November 30th, just in case anybody's wondering. We had chop with the sheriff Saturday, and I think I had no less than 50 citizens asking me, why are you retiring today? And I said, I'm not. And I looked at the headline that Sauk Valley Media put out. It did look like I was resigning that day, but no, I'll still be here till November 30th. So you got to put up with me for about 11 more months.
No problem. We'll keep you around till then. Mr. Nicholson, anything at all? Boonstra? Okay. Everybody. If you've had a chance to read the meetings from the last minute, are there any corrections, additions? Anything that needs to be done? If not, they'll stand approved as read. Okay, we're going to start into the claims. I've got a request from the sheriff and state's attorney. They have another meeting to go to here in a short period of time. So we're going to start and go through their claims first.
The first one, I believe, is the best benefit one. Yeah, first one is Mississippi for $300. That should be it.
Mike, do you want the rescue fund,
Yeah, let's go.
$300.
This next group is for the toll fund. Dixon Police Department, 2,150. K&M Tire, 812. Stewart, 250. Ace Systems, 4,800.
Jack, did you hit US Bank 4,000? The problem is we've got a US Bank statement that has all the charges and we separated them by account. So your face sheet will have, like the tow fund you just read, it'll have all the tow fund expenditures on that sheet. But the entire statement from US Bank is going to have a variety. So we have all the receipts on that statement, but you're not going to have behind each sheet. It's a little bit confusing, but unfortunately, pardon?
Get a different group.
Yeah, I'm not.
They'll be in a variety of groups on our statement, yes. And Devin does a pretty good job of writing next to the US Bank statement as to what account it came out of.
Yeah.
So hopefully when we go to the new claims system, this will be a little bit more clear for you, but I thought it's best to separate it by line item for the sheet so you can see what's coming out of each account.
Trying finding it, but it's not like right with it. So this group,
Better decide, maybe come up with.
It'll catch up later.
Yeah.
So I won't give you the total.
That's right.
then these. So. Let's see here. I think this is just under the general.
Yes.
All right, first one is advanced medical, 7,000. Or advanced correctional for medical, $7,335.41. Jake Amasquita, 1469. David Constein for $400. Sure, if it's just a claim amount, no, I'm not seeing a bill.
That'd be for the.
On-
Is that
Which one are you talking about?
claim rather than a bill? So that's
For the merit commission, we'll have 5 for $400 each,
So it doesn't,
just paying them directly.
consolidated correctional, 9,852.46. Firefighter, 218. 219.90. Anchor, 400. Jason Hole, 500. Let's pull $6,962.84.
Are we still getting the credit from CERMA on that? Let's pull.
1,000.
Aubrey, 550.
General.
All right, let's look.
That'll be general fund.
Uh, Next one I have is for Lori Miller, training.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I have no.
Aubrey for 550.
Yeah, that's it, sorry.
All right. Lori Miller, 1572. All right. Jared Nicholson, 400. Northeast multi-regional training, $75. Teresa Sheridan, 400. Standard Associates, $204.12. Secretary of State, 10. Robert Thompson, 400. All right. U.S. Bank, stack of them. Yeah. Which one I see is $9,043.92.
No, it's. That might be a total.
Okay, let's, all right, here's one that has total. So let's do it.
Okay.
$4,018.40.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's group that together then. Let's say the total.
Total Mike. Total fund, $12,030.40.
But I'm sure the receipt is big. So you've got listed individually. Yes. Okay. DUI. Here's a DUI like that for West Bank. Something.
That's a separate.
Like this 720 is coming out of the DUI fund. That should be all. No.
invoice with it.
The invoices with all the US Bank.
That's what the sheriff was explaining.
Okay, so I put invoice.
No, that's reserve fund.
So I got 720 in the PUI.
Okay, thank you. 720.
Yeah.
We have the same drug fund for US Bank. $942.48.
That's the total, like in drug fund, 4248.
For the US Bank. You have like auto repair for 2,606.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, all right. There's one claim. All right, so these guys are $2,606.18.
Yeah.
$2,800.92. Yeah. $1,505.87. $1,287.68. $193.80. $34.92. $614.55. Yeah, we're back on the on those listed. So,
Yeah.
and that just had a total of 9,043. That's right. Here's all the receipts.
Okay.
For that.
Still have some more.
Yep. Yeah. And the next one would be Devin Boogerty.
Yeah.
For $22.90. Ed Stewart, 237.76. Yeah. Johnson Oil, $98.62.
Total like $37,143.35.
That's total general.
That's the total. In general. Yep.
I have any work to do.
Let's see.
Yeah.
That's separate. Oh,
That's all. This is all the other ones.
all the US Bank and all that.
Sheriff, is the tow fund, DUI, drug fund, and the arrestee, they're all included in that total for the general? Or they're
No.
separate?
No, they have separate totals on each
Okay.
sheet because those are reserve funds, not county general.
Okay.
Each of those will have their own total. County general 37 is just county general funds.
Okay. We don't have it broken down by line items, so the other figures that we had for the tow fund, DUI, drug fund, and the arrestee fund all need to be added to.
Total claims for today, that's fine. I just want to make sure that you're aware that they are reserve funds and not county general.
Actually, like everything's on the backside separate. Separate funds.
Yeah, I know your form is,
That form was screwed up
can't
forever.
capture all that. Yeah.
Thank goodness, in a couple months. We'll work.
Next
Well-
month, we won't worry about it.
I think we need to unscrew it.
Well, it's gonna be
It's
obsolete
gonna be
next month.
obsolete, yeah. By the time you fix it,
Okay. Post them. Okay, Sheriff, we're gonna do one and the other one. You need to leave right now.
Unless you want to talk about the resolution real quick. Okay,
Okay, in the packet of the information here, this has come up within a short period of time. I'd like you to read over it. There's talk at the beginning stage of make contacts to consider putting a Northwestern Illinois Training Academy, law enforcement training academy out of Sauk Valley. The sheriff has already contacted several people. Go ahead and go through what you've done, the sheriff.
There's been some discussion about this for actually the last several months, and John Mandrell kind of took the lead from Sauk Valley College with the support of several sheriffs and chiefs in the northwest part of the state, knowing what as we've been impacted by the lack of availability to get our new recruits into academy classes because they're so full. And part of the reason they're so full now, there's two reasons. Actually, there's a lot of retirements. But secondly, they're only holding about half the size of their normal classes because of COVID, so they can keep their social distancing and things of that nature. So we've never had an academy close to our area. The closest one is DuPage County, and then we have to go south to Decatur or Springfield or Utv Champaign. And we've got some large agencies up here. Rockford and Quad Cities, of course, are very interested in having something much closer to them, as well as the smaller agencies like ours, so we can have the availability to get our recruits into an academy at a much faster pace. Sauk Valley Community College is obviously set up nicely for the academic portion of it. They already have a very good criminal justice program that a lot of our people that we hire go through at least that program and maybe go on to Western or other colleges. So from a recruitment retention standpoint, it's an awesome idea to have the academy there as well for us. And certainly the convenience and cost saving that the county will have by sending our recruits there saves us a lodging costs, and transportation, and all kinds of stuff. So, as far as getting instructors up here, I'm sure they'll have no problem with folks that like myself that might entertain the thought of going there once they're retired and instruct at the academy. So John Mandrell went to the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board last Thursday to promote this idea. And from what I'm gathering from that meeting, they were receptive. There are certainly some the red tape that they have to go through to make sure that their place is certified, and they will have to use the same exact curriculum that all the other academies were using, so that the officers and deputies that go through there will be certified. So at this point, there's a lot of talk in progress, but the support by our board here would certainly be highly recommended to push this forward.
Anybody have any questions?
So we would not need to send future officers to the other academy. This would replace that.
Should this come to fruition, yes.
That would be a good thing.
It's a full academy.
That's what they're proposing, yes. Well, they sent John Mandrell to Iletsky, so I'm assuming he's had that conversation with the president. Yes.
They're looking at lodging, correct?
They have the availability, as we know, right next to the campus, some lodging, and I know the owner is rather excited about having this opportunity to use some of these facilities for lodging for those that have to stay. And in large part, Keene, they probably won't have to lodge, in a lot of cases, because the driving distance will be much shorter than where we're driving to now. So there'll only be a few people that will probably have to lodge.
I did have a conversation with, Dr. Lori Cortez, who's one of the administrators in Sauk Valley also. And she says they are quite interested in run into some snags. The other side of things for some of the stuff that they've got going, but the law enforcement aspect, I had mentioned it last year when we met. They came in and spoke to the county, but she did reinforce the fact that as far as accommodations or housing, they're working on getting the commons back, and it looks like that's probably going to happen. So there would be accommodations there also for people that have to do have to travel a short distance.
Yeah.
That's something they're going to look at, maybe using outside ranges and build something right there. We'd have to travel to that, but there's a few available around the area that we can use. No, for the future, and I know they're starting to think about this, but with the advent of the new Police Reform and Safety Act, there's a lot of mandated training that is going to impact our deputies and officers in the future, very near future. And so having that academy close by and certified as an academy that will also be able to offer some of those mandates through SOC at some point in the future as well. So there's a lot of options. So
Do we still have the range in the old sheriff's department?
yeah, well, I'm sorry.
There was a indoor range in the old law enforcement center. Is that
It's still currently
functional?
operational, but I doubt if that's going to be operational much longer because very soon we're going to have to go through what I did a couple of years ago with the amount of cleaning and changing all the filters and collecting brass and things of that nature. So I don't know where the county's going to be as far as that cost. So very soon that's going to probably have to be shut down.
Are there any other agencies locally that would have something similar to that?
All outdoor ranges right now that police agencies either own or use. I know over in Rock Falls, there's an indoor range that has some possibilities as well. But for academy purposes, generally we'll be shooting outside just because we want to get a lot of low light training in as well. So we'll be looking at some outside ranges. They also have the FAT simulator over there too, so that's a huge part of the training and use of force training mandates that we have going forward. That's already been installed and has been used for the last 4 or 5 years. It's already at SOC.
They still, not the one that we used years ago,
That's a little bit more.
30 years.
No, they don't have to put the big discs in there for each scenario. It's all
I
web-based
think that
now.
was one of the first ones that came out with, that was as big as one of these desks, if not
Yeah.
bigger. It was well worth it. They're a good training.
It is, and now it's even more robust. And like I said, it's a more of a web-based where you can pull, I think, in upwards of 2,500 scenarios now and just include them in your training scenarios.
Any more questions? Any input?
I have none. I think it's great.
Now that you disappointed. John, anything?
I don't see a downside to it.
I don't either. Personally, I think it's, if it can be worked through and come to fruition, like the sheriff says, it's a win-win situation for the whole area, northern portion of Illinois for that matter, because you will draw a lot of people. So,
It'll save expenses for all departments a lot of money. If you're on your own, you go to school, make sure you're there every day.
we're hoping that maybe they'll let us go ahead and get it in place here, and all they have to do is send the people.
Yeah.
Well, if there's no more questions or no more input, I would entertain a motion. Charlie, can we move forward with this? Are we on the agenda to do that?
I didn't put it on their agendas, no. So I don't know if you can make a motion to push it to executive or.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion that we
Put it in the
approve,
executive.
put it into the, move it to the executive.
I'll make that motion.
Wendy, seconded by Keen. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. So carried.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. And the other, I think, is just general.
Okay, first one, Redwood toxicology, $18.39.
Yes.
Mississippi, $1,550.57.
Yes.
Another Mississippi for $650.
Yes.
Solution Specialties, $10,907.92.
Yes.
Verizon Wireless, $84.36.
Yes.
That's it.
Go ahead. Well, let's move back. Correct.
Yeah. Yes.
Go ahead.
$13,211.24.
Thank you.
Okay, this is for,
State's Attorney County General.
yes. Training, $375.
Got it.
Mileage, $49.93.
Yes.
For supplies, $69.
Yes.
Contractual services, $366.40.
Yes.
Contractual services, copier scanner.
Yep.
$514.02.
Correct.
Supplies, office supplies, $25.18. Contractual services, $1,155.
Yes.
Supplies, $101.42.
Yes.
All books, subscriptions, $98.54.
Yes.
All book subscriptions, $2,202.40.
Correct.
Transportation reimbursement, $53.98. Contractual services, keep and trial, $45.
That should be it. For a total in State's Attorney County General of $5,055.87.
Thank you. going to backtrack to the resolution that we just went through and approved. We're going to have to, let's see, withdraw that. It was on the agenda for discussion only. We're not, that's improper to move it on to a resolution. So what we'll do is just go ahead and pass it on to the executive committee for their discussion, rather than accept this resolution.
I'll remove my motion for that.
Okay,
I'll
Jack
second.
has moved to remove the resolution. Go back to just to the discussion stage on it. For a second.
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Marilyn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. Okay, so we're back to the discussion portion of it. So we'll forward it on to. All right, thanks, Chair.
Okay, I have the claims here for circuit clerk. First one is child support enforcement. Altogether, $3,000 for postage. Okay, next one we got is circuit clerk court document storage. Fund 007. First one against SBM for supplies, $52.16.
Yes.
Another SBM supplies, $49.08.
Yes.
And again, SBM for supplies, $4.19.
Yes.
Buyers printing, $2,362.31.
Yes.
Again, supplies. And another buyer's printing supplies, $1,739.40.
Yes.
Justice Systems Incorporated, for license and maintenance, $33,217.50.
Yes.
Go ahead.
$37,424.64.
Thank you.
Next is circuit clerk automation, fund 008.
$116.90.
Got it.
$300. $450. $33,217.50.
Got it.
And $1,340.
For a total, Mike, you ready?
Ready.
$35,424.40.
Thank you.
Circuit clerk automation. No. Oh. Okay. Now we're moving on to probation. This is Dependent Children Fund.
$1,193.35.
That's the total. 1,493.35.
That was a services fund.
That was
Dependent child.
Dependent Child, which is part of county general. The whole one. Still on probation. Okay. Okay, GPS monitoring, $952.
Yes.
That's it for this one.
Ready for total.
Stacy, I need some help.
I'm confined to 28.
Okay. Okay, now I'm ready for a total.
Right, $952.
This one, Stacy was. So that goes under. I'm not seeing 01-017, and then 17, 017.
Yeah.
All right, let me get this one done.
I think probation wins the prize for most funds.
Okay. Oh, all right. I don't think so. This is the for postage, $47.31. Yeah, this is the postage, $47.31.
Still on probation. Except Stacy wins the prize. This one is drug court. Redwood toxicology, $91.35. 95, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Rebecca Johanning, drug court recovery coach, $330.
Yes.
Mississippi for treatment services, $3,500.
Yes.
So this is drug court, Mike, a total of $3,921.95.
Thank you.
You have one more probation. This is for Veterans Treatment Court. 086 is the fund number. For REAP scholarship, $525. Oh, $525. Veterans Treatment Support. Yep, so I said we would that, no, we're not. My mistake. We're under. Yes. 17. You guys ready?
Yes.
Okay, first one is for some guy named Jack.
Wrote down?
I don't know what his last name is. It begins with S, Scroggy or something like that. $1,340.
Yes.
Trotsky Investigators Polygraph Services, $150.
Yes.
Probation service fees for the Office of the Chief Judge, $700.
Yes.
SBM, meter readings, account furniture and equipment, $154.39.
Yes.
Road Ranger for fuel, $97.77.
Yes.
Membership renewal for IPCSA, $450.
Yes.
US bank card training, $58.46.
Yes.
Verizon Wireless. Cell phone use, 2 lines, $210.90.
Yes.
Quill supplies, $1,115.38.
Yes.
US bank card supplies, $11.21.
Yes.
Redwood toxicology, $187.38.
Yes.
Drug testing supplies for Redwood toxicology, $31.15.
Yes.
And now I think we are done with probation. The old-
$1,506.64.
Okay. I have one is ready to go.
Okay, Jack.
All right, this one is only one. I'm not sure what. it is.
087.
US Bank, 6869.
68, 69.
68, 69.
Nothing on phone or anything.
Coming up with the phone. I've got a second one here. Westway Innovations, 179.63. Dr. Mark Peters, 6,000. NMS, 106.
Total Mike, $6,585.63.
Want to do MA2?
Yes. Like 305. Okay.
First one is Wex for $372.08. Ace Hardware, 1444. US Bank, $214.15. SBM, $71. Ken Nelson, $83.46. Motorola Solutions, $600. Arbeck Communications, $75.
Total of $1,430.13.
You.
Okay. I think this is probably the law library. I don't have a number here. It's $3,590.
Yes.
Law library.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. $2,590.
This would be the judges, county general. West Payment Center, $786.
Yes.
SPM, $49.
Yes.
West Payment Center, $1,572. Hinkley Springs, $113.93. $113.93. Language line, $15.77.
Yes.
Law offices of Thurn Burrell, $750.
Yes.
Jeffrey Sunberg, $800.
Yes.
Dr. Matthew Finn, $1,300.
Yes.
Office of the Chief Judge, annual, I'm assuming it's dues, but it says fees here, $900.
Yes.
SBM paper supply, $531.86.
Yes.
US Bank office supplies, $211.36.
Yes.
US Bank supplies, $113.65.
Yes.
West Payment Center online services, $1,363.81.
Yes.
Mississippi November services, excuse me, $358.88.
Yes.
For a total of $8,866.26. That was county general judges.
Mike, I got a quick question. Sure. When Jack and I were doing this, we're doing it, so we're correctly.
As long as we get everything accounted for and everything, it was confusing because of the different tally sheets and everything the sheriff had.
Yeah.
So other than that, no.
Different anyways.
Yeah, it's gonna change.
Right, right. Yeah.
Okay, I think we finally made it through claims. We didn't have anything from public defender.
See any?
I stepped out for a minute. Did you guys go ahead and make a motion to approve claims that I missed? Okay, all right, just checking. Thought maybe I missed it.
I will entertain a motion to.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried.
Jack abstains.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and bypass 5 and 6 on the agenda, the quarterly update on collection of unpaid fines and quarterly update on dangerous and abandoned properties. Whole business, the salamander system for EMA, Mr. Lally.
Yes, sir. Just a brief review of little history. We took this to Capitol. When it went into Capitol asked me to take it to ARPA. Took it to ARPA and it didn't make the top 5 cuts in ARPA, so I'm bringing it back around again. The last meeting, I didn't have the proper process in place, so it never made it all the way up the chain. So 1-year subscription is $4,510, and a 3-year subscription saves us 10% at $12,177. Because of the confusion when we did it with the 3-year subscription, I'm recommending that we just do the annual. It goes into my budget, and it's going to be continued on, that we don't have that problem of having a lapse in coverage. So, brief description of Salamander. It tracks our first responders on scene. It makes the ID cards for the sheriff. It makes the ID cards for my department. There's a lot of other things it does, but I don't want to get into a lot of detail. Just give you that. If you have questions, I can get.
Anybody have any questions for Kevin?
I do have it on finance and do have it on executive.
Thanks, Kevin. Anything else?
Couple other quick things is I delivered the generator grant. We snuck under the wire for a generator for the new courts building. It was a team effort. We did have a contractor that wrote it, but we had to supply all the information. It's there in that binder if anybody wants to look at it. Have any idea what we did. So that's there. I do have a list of EMA assets that I'll leave with you. We relocated some of those, just have an idea where they're at, what they are. And we're currently testing FirstNet. It's an AT&T versus Verizon. Right now, it's looking like FirstNet is about 3 times faster than Verizon in most locations, but we want to make sure we have coverage throughout the county. I have a couple devices that the sheriff has, I have. So we're going to drive around the county and see how it works. But right now, it's the same price as Verizon. but it's made for first responders, so we're testing that, so. Else I can answer?
Any other questions for Kevin? Okay, thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. Under old business again, UTV ordinance update. Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Just to kind of update the committee with our UTV ordinance. We last met November. And we haven't met since then, but what we did there is we took the draft ordinance on that day that was drafted in August. And we kind of went through that ordinance there, added some things, took out some things, and came to a concession of that. And part of the law for a UTV ordinance, we have to get, in essence, permission, so to speak, from different municipalities that are under Lee County to operate these UTVs on their roadways. So what we did is put together a letter and sent it to the 22 different townships, asking them, and we sent a copy of the ordinance that they would in essence need to also pass it to also include their roads or exclude their roads if they wanted to do that. And I personally received a bunch of phone calls from different township personnel with just questions about it, what needs to be done. We never did, in the letter, we did put on a time frame. So I'm just hoping that they either pass this or get something done either this month during their meeting or at least next month. We have not reached out to the different cities and villages throughout Lee County. It kind of, someone mentioned that if we can't use the roads to get to a village, what's the point of asking the villages? So I guess it does make sense that we have to wait till we get permission to get on the roadways, go that route. So after we get the township's permissions, then we'll reach out to the different cities, and then maybe the ones that already have UTV ordinances within there, maybe we could work on a memo or memorandum, to include Lee County, or, whether it be our UTV ordinance. I mean, there's just a couple other little things that we have to work out with those different villages and cities. So we don't have a new meeting yet set. Also, I just wanted to mention too, I had a phone call from the township that was not for this. So everyone else that has called me, they seem to be in favor of it, but just one of the townships that did reach out to me, they did indicate that they were not very supportive of this UTV ordinance. So anyways, that's what we have for right now.
Well, township has.
Anybody have any questions for Jack? John?
Hi, Jack. I had a conversation with a couple of road commissioners from different townships, and they were wondering what kind of ordinance would be written. Are you relying on each township's ordinance? And he suggested, and I thought it would be a good idea if they just adopted ours, so everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, that's why I included a draft copy of the most revision November draft that we came up with. Charlie prepared it for me. So I sent that with them so that way they could, in essence, use that.
Seemed logical.
Yeah. They would just need to include, their township roads in that ordinance.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Jack. Moving on, under new business, appellate prosecutor annual fee. Charlie?
I think this is probably pretty self-explanatory because we've done this several years now. So this is just up for renewal of the appellate prosecutor's fee. The appellate prosecutor's office helps out quite a bit with my office in terms of conflicts that come up, advice to give to us in terms of what they're looking for when appeals are coming down the pike, or if we believe that there's going to be an appeal coming up. Last year it was at 15,000. This year they've reduced their rate down to 14,000. So a little bit of a savings there.
Any question for Charlie on that? Okay,
Make a motion that we authorize payment of that, or if we send it on, what,
It should still be on finance and executive. So I think the only thing you guys would really have to do is if you're just making a recommendation to approve it, or even if you don't want to do that, that's fine, because I think it'll still end up on the full board too.
it's something that's been done forever since I've been on the board, so. you know, I'll make a motion to pass it on, but I don't need to.
I'll make that second. We have a motion by Marilyn, seconded by Keen to move this on to executive. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay, so carried. Move it to executive, please. Okay. Charlie snuck out. I don't know if he'll be back. Under new business, abandoned building discussion and action. We've got a little bit of movement there as far as the buildings that we're dealing with right now. Charlie was able to find an attorney that does specifically this type of action as far as drawing up the paperwork, the necessary steps in whether the building's condemned or has to be demolished or whatever. He's working on getting a fee schedule as to what it would cost. It would probably be per property and could range. Charlie gave an approximation of it of anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000 per property. It was thought of at the time, since this was all being researched, that maybe we would consider the potential of 2 properties per year to potentially minimize any, possible expense on the part of the county.
So just a little bit additional, one of the ways we thought we would identify, because there's numerous properties, how do we identify which ones to start with? That there would be a sort of weighting process that would, of course, consider life safety. Charlie recommended that the zoning office, the health department, and perhaps even the town or the county assessor get together and kind of create this weighting scale to be able to determine which ones we start with. So Mike, this is on the agenda as discussion/action. I'm not sure if Charlie was looking for additional action out of this committee. But if you want to, circle back to this when Charlie gets back. I know there's nothing else on your agenda, but I have a couple things I could fill you in on the meantime, because I never have a problem filling time, right, Mike? But I don't want to interrupt your discussion on this topic. I just wanted to let you know it was.
Wendy, I want you to know that
What's that?
Always pertinent and beneficial information.
Hopefully, yes. But I just wanted you to know that he's got it on the agenda as action. So I want to make sure before we close out your meeting that he wasn't looking for something further from this committee to move that forward.
No, he's still in the research mode of it. The only thing that I would like to add is we have one building that was condemned here several weeks ago, being the old Eldina School. We have an individual who has been informed that he can no longer inhabit the building. However, I think he chooses to continue to do so. That's in the knowledge base. Sheriff, state's attorney, and the health department are all knowledgeable of that, and they are taking what steps are necessary to continue with action on that. So that's a temporary situation right now, but that would fall in line with what Wendy just commented as far as depicting or deciding which one that we want to go with first, and then just break them on down from there. We've got one at 251 and 30 that the gentleman passed away in the building here several months back, and they're determining the priority, just like Wendy said. So, Charlie, I jumped the gun and just started on a discussion basically on the abandoned building discussion and action. I briefed that you have an attorney, that does just that. If you want to pick up on anything more
Yeah,
detail?
so we've had some preliminary discussions on how we're going to address some of these properties. I don't know if you were included on the correspondence with the health department, zoning department, or anything like that. If you aren't, I can certainly forward that along. It's a matter of determining, where the priority levels need to be. And I know when I walked in, you were kind of going down that path already, but in terms of, I think primarily the health concerns is the top priority, but also the safety concerns of these properties if they're left in disarray and kids, wanderers, whatever it may be that may go into properties. So it's just determining what our financial capabilities are going to be pushing forward, as well as just those priority levels that I just discussed.
Anybody have any questions about it at all? It's going to be a long, tedious situation, unfortunately.
I think we're gonna have to do something because this abandoned building situations, I think it's just getting more and more all the time. People are just walking away from their responsibilities and their properties, leaving it up for obviously the county or cities to resolve the problem. And I agree, the major issue, of course, is public safety. And, that's important, but the other, we all know after a while, abandoned buildings have become a home for varmints or whatever you want to call them, and that can create an issue too. But I firmly agree that we have to do something with this issue. We have to start something so the word will get out too that Lee County will not tolerate it. If you don't want it, you just walk away. I mean, let's face it, we have a number of homes in this county alone. And people in the last few years have just walked away from their so-called responsibilities, and they're left there. And then that becomes another issue for everybody.
And I think it will be a little bit of work up front. I think that the front end of this whole process will be the crux of where the work is at. From there, it's going to be a matter of just going through the steps through the legal process, and then what we're going to be able to financially support. And it may be that we only handle a couple or a handful of properties per year, depending on what we're able to support.
Is there a way that, a list can be put together on these so-called abandoned properties and publicly posted?
I'm sure there probably is. I'm not sure what benefit that would give to us, though.
Well, people have pride.
These people that leave these properties the way they are, I don't think so.
But there's a lot of people out there that do not know where the responsibility lies and who owns such and such property. And I think by this fact, if it can be publicly, legally, obviously, published, that people can say, well, I know him, what's his problem?
One of the properties, for an example, it was a joint ownership between an individual that lives, I think, out in the Chicago suburbs, if I'm getting that right, and then a brother who was actually in the Illinois Department of Corrections. They had immigrated, I think, from Greece, if memory serves me correct. I mean, those kind of people, I don't think you're really going to impact all that much because they're not really around here anyway.
I'm thinking of a farmhouse that's abandoned. The windows are knocked out. I'm sure there's all sorts of critters in there, coons and skunks or possums or whatever. It's on a piece of farm property. There is a decent shed there. The owners are very capable financially, in my estimation, of having this house demolished. I'm sure it's not really on the county's radar, but it's something that I'm very familiar with, and I wish it could get cleaned up. It's not the top of the list by any means, but it's definitely a problem.
And there are different avenues that we can take depending on the property themselves, what may be the best avenue to take. When I spoke with another attorney, there was about 3 different avenues that you could look at. And one of those is a matter of looking at grant support for the financial aspect of this. Another part is the county may be able to do something to address the property and then just have a lien on the property.
Keen, back to your thought for a minute about the list. I'm not sure, as Charlie said, that it would impact the property owners, but maybe after we get our process developed, it might not be a bad idea to put it out there and let the general public know that, you know what, it's on our radar. We're working through a process to take care of them. So let, you know, the surrounding property owners know. I'd like to explore that a little bit more because there's pros and cons to that. Because once they see the list, then they might start, you know, hounding all of you to say, hey, move mine up on the list. I don't want to look at that anymore. So I'd like to explore it a little bit more, but maybe more so for the general public than the property owners themselves to put something like that out there.
Thank you. I think
The general public would get after the property.
There you go.
Like, that's where.
exactly. People know, like you said, the county's doing something.
Right. But I think communicating to the general public that the county is tackling the issue and in the best way they can would be a good, you know, concept to put out there.
But the taxes are paid, but hinder us from legal action.
Again, you're talking about 3 different avenues that you can go down, and most of these, I'd say that probably the taxes have been sold off or they haven't. Yeah.
Next question, was that they're sold off? Does that start off again?
If they're sold off, if they've been delinquent in their taxes for a number of years, then the county has an ability to use one of those avenues to step in and address those properties.
I did have a suggestion by one of my friends as far as financial responsibility to the county as far as having the building demolished. And he thought maybe that, you know, for the county to sustain the entire blunt of the expense of demolishing the building, maybe the county could come up with maybe some type of program that we could allow a third or half of the cost of having the building demolished and the owner of the building then pick up the remainder of the cost or a certain percentage or something like that. But he thought maybe if the county would signify that they might be able to help out a little bit financially to get them started, they would pick up on it, and finish it off. So that was just a good, I thought it was a good suggestion, not that I like to spend the county's money, but you know, to move in the right direction, try and help these people get the properties demolished, because some of them that we have on the list, and Dee has a list of those who have some form of action involved with them right now. Get that list. You want to kind of deal with too. But I think that might be something that could be considered down the road too. So I think we're headed in the right direction. Right now, we're kind of focusing on the building in Eldina being the old school. I had the occasion to, we had the Sheriff's Department representative, the Health Department, a couple other social agencies that were out there the day that that was posted as being inhabitable. You could stand in the building during any heavy rain situation and take a shower in any part of the building. The roof is that deplorable. So is the rest of it. So, and that's what we're going to use as a decision point on priority and process and stuff. So, any more questions?
You got the old school or you got the old nursing home?
Well, both actually.
Okay.
But the one you were referring to was the old school.
Yeah, I'm referring to the old schoolhouse. From what I understand, keeping up with Dee and some of the conversation on the old infirmary, the old nursing home. The owner apparently is obtaining bids on getting that demolished.
There's part of it that's
Well,
down, falling down, whatever.
yeah, it is. The roof is down on part of it. I've got pictures of it. Dee has pictures of it. So there again, we have a residential area there in a cul-de-sac, and sure, if there aren't kids running around in there, there are grandkids by grandparents who are babysitting with them. So it's in the process. Unfortunately, it's slow. Material has been there the whole time I was on the sheriff's department for 24 years. I mean, it hasn't been irreparable for that period, but 30 years. Okay.
I have one question for you, Charlie. Just looking, many times this property becomes property of the county. Is that correct?
If you're doing like an eminent domain action,
Yes.
could.
My curiosity question is that can liens be placed against the property? I'm not saying it's a good idea because that can go either way, but I think there's a way that the county should not have to pay for this. It's an owner's responsibility, no matter how you look at it. And I'm just curious if the county has to do this, can they place a lien against that property without too many issues?
Correct. That's one of the avenues like I was discussing. With you.
I was just going to add that you can place the lien, if you were to place the lien, speaking of the Eldina school, the lien is going to be much, much larger in all likelihood than the ultimate value of the lot itself. So then what happens is you have a lien that is never going to be paid because no one's going to buy that property and pay off that lien. So that's can be a double-edged sword too, especially for those lots in Eldina, which probably aren't worth a whole lot. So.
Same situation, 250, 130. And are there underground fuel tanks? Which would have to be taken out. That's that property.
And that's,
These are 2020 left.
well, that's been part of the problem when we started this whole issue or looking at the issue was who's going to pay for this? Who's going to take care of all this? And that's why it's been really slowed down up to this point. And now we're starting to get some momentum on how we can try to pay for those. One of the grants that we looked at before for one of the decrepit or abandoned properties, you can get somewhere between $40,000 to $120,000 per property. Now, again, I don't know how many of those grants you'd be able to be awarded per jurisdiction per year. So that's one of the things that may slow us down again too.
That guy that lived there, stand out by the stop sign, and panhandle, the right below. So anyway, then he died that winter.
You know, it was my understanding that there were 2 wells on that property.
Correct. Yep. That's my understanding as well.
I do have contact with the gentleman. I haven't ascertained whether he's the actual owner on it or not. But I've talked to him on 2 occasions, once at -5 degrees below zero beside his car. And I did just call him the other day. He did ask that I pass on to the sheriff's department to keep an eye on the property. If there's any trespassers, arrest them, to follow through with it. So I went by and there's flags, political flags all over on 2 sides of the corner there. So I called him. He did give the gentleman permission to set up there temporarily. The guy was gone the next day, I think, or the week after that. But I've established a communication with him. I think my next call is to ask him if I could just, I saw his car there the other day, but I couldn't stop. I was on the way to Barrington. But he comes down about once a week just to look the property over and check things out. Next time I catch him there, and then stop and ask some more inquisitive questions. as to what's there.
Your interrogation.
I don't think he knows that that property has reverted back to Ag 1.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I want to be the one to break
Doesn't
the
look like they
news.
spent a lot of time there, so that's probably true.
He did tell me that at the current time, he's been trying to talk with 7-Eleven or something like that. He informed me that he did talk with Ranger, he's talked with Casey's. Ranger, it wasn't big enough for him. Casey's, you aren't going to find Casey's go in a corner that has nothing, you know. 7-Eleven, I'm sure won't either. He is making some attempts at that aspect, but I don't think, I'm not sure if they have to notify him from the zoning board if they have reverted their zoning back or not. He may.
I believe they do.
The one at 250, 130?
It was
Proposed, but I didn't think it was passed.
Well, it is, to my understanding, is reverted back to Ag 1.
They tried to, but I thought, I don't know, we'd have to ask Steve.
I have to apologize. I have to head over to that meeting with the sheriff. So unless there's any last
Thanks,
questions.
Charlie, I appreciate it. Okay, Wendy, you had some,
Just a quick update on the claims process. Yes, we are moving forward with the claims process. We have met with the executive committee of the board and got positive feedback. We also had a department head meeting, got positive feedback. Right now, the treasurer's office is knee deep in implementing the software behind the scenes, which means building all the permissions and authorities, who has access, logins, and then who has access to what funds, because departments will have access only to the funds that they have authority over, of course. So anyway, we're knee deep in that. There is a training January 5th for departments and department personnel. And we are, at this month's board meeting, you will be seeing several documents moving forward to actually create the claims committee, modify your board rules to account for the claims committee, because your committee will no longer going forward go through all those claims. All of that will be diverted to the claims committee. However, just as a reminder, you will still have at this committee a report of those departments that report to you. So you'll still see an accounting of all the claims that got paid for those departments that report to you, and you in essence will be ratifying that. And the full board will ratify the entire preceding monthly report of all the claims that got paid. So you're going to still see the information, but what you're not going to do at your committees is go through that laborious process of individually picking up a claim and examining it and reading it out loud and approving it. That's now what the claims committee will be doing. It is our hope to be able to implement 50% of the departments in January and the other 50% in February or maybe later in January. So you may still go through a claims process this coming month in January, depending upon what departments we've got moving through the system and which ones are still being trained on the system. But by February, 100%, our goal is 100% of the departments will in fact be using the changes to the claims system. And your meetings can be about substantive things such as what we just talked about with abandoned properties. So if anybody has any questions about how the claims committee is going to be set up prior to the board meeting next week, please by all means give me a shout out and I'd be happy to address your questions or any concerns that you may have. On board is our board organizational software. We are moving forward with that as well. The tablets for everyone have been purchased. I'm not 100% sure if they're in the building yet, but we anticipate launching that in January, at least in this setting, in the committee setting, in small groups. We can manage and help you with, managing and navigating around on your tablet. But I want you to be able to visualize all those things on your agenda and having that tablet with the agenda items and live links. And what I mean by that is you click on a link and in the order of the agenda, there will be a link that you can click on where you pull up each of the documents that are associated with your agenda items. So they'll all be in one place. It'll be easy to find as opposed to tossing around a lot of pieces of paper that tend to get lost in the shuffle. At least they do for me. Once again, we're looking for a bit of a phased-in approach. So at your committee in January, hopefully, we'll be talking to you about how a little bit of training and a little bit of walking you through it at the smaller setting. Not sure if we'll use it for the January full board meeting. That is yet to be determined based on how the committees go. But hopefully, again, by February, we will be completely converted to a digital world and there'll be a whole lot less paper floating around here. And hopefully your digital world will be a lot more organized and allow you to get to the important documents you want to see in a much more timely manner. We are building things into it right now. We're working behind the scenes to get that built. Committee structure, for example, who's on what committee, what's their contact information. We're building the agendas. And we're putting important documents into the system that you may want to refer to, such as your board rules. So all of that activity is going on right now behind the scenes by staff. So there is a lot going on, and January is going to be a great month. A great month. That's all I had, Mike, unless anybody has any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Wendy on that? Thank you, Wendy. Appreciate it. Any other questions on anything? If not, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All motion by Jack, seconded by Marilyn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sorry for the confusion on my part. That's normal for me. I know it isn't for you. I take Doc one. Doc go down. How did that go?